Hey, welcome everybody to a special edition of Sparky's Cast, a Sparky's Cast Roundup. First of all, I just wanted to say sorry for the lateness of my VODs. I've been pretty sick for the past week and a half, and I couldn't really talk for more than a minute without having a coughing fit, so that explains the lack of videos recently. Also, Sam and I actually did do a commentary on Height versus SKT1 before I was too sick, but we tried a new recording scheme to, make our volume levels a little more consistent, and basically the audio got screwed. So instead, I'm just going to give an overview of that match in this video. So spoiler alert, I am going to be talking about the results of that match, so if you'd rather just watch the match, I'd suggest going and finding the VODs in Korean. Anyway, so Sparky's versus SKT1 played on December 1st, and game 1 we are going to have Haksu, aka Secret, against Bisu. This is the battle of the hair. I hear the winning player's stylist is going to get to be on the cover of, South Korea Hair and Fashion magazine. Anyways, all joking aside, this is probably the most lopsided PvP possible statistically. With Bisu, of course, being the beast, he's like, 70% win rate against Protoss, and he's playing against Haksu, who has one versus Protoss win to his credit last year in the Pro League against Free, so not terrible, I guess. Bisu, of course, known for being an excellent scouter, is denied here, his scout. Haksu with a single zealot, Bisu trying to ninja kill with that zealot with the probe, but not gonna happen. Later on in the match, denied once again from trying to scout on the side entrance, and then denied again from scouting at the main entrance of that natural expansion, so Bisu with no scouting information. And Bisu then goes for a quick robotics facility into observers because of the lack of scouting. Haksu instead goes for a 3-gate goon timing attack right as Bisu plants his natural expansion. Check out this positioning with his Dragoons and some great focus firing. He takes down all of these Dragoons and that Reaver and takes down the naturals. So Haksu in great position now. Icing on the cake later on in the match, he's got 2 observatories. Why? Just because he wants his observers to be fully upgraded, I guess. Or maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. Either way, he's well in control of the match. Haksu takes a little bit of time, shores up his economy before attacking again, and then just out macros the crippled Bisu, focuses down on the shuttle, the backup Reaver, and that is GG. Haksu's stylist wins the day. Also, great call sticking with the old bomber pilot jacket, so nice work by Haksu. And on to game 2, we're going to have Type B versus Fantasy, which ought to be a really great matchup. Type B has been playing pretty well for Sparky's this season, and Fantasy has been holding down his own on SKT1. Although before they start, we have a good 18 minutes of delay because of some hardware problem. Anyways, onto the match, we have Type B as the Teal Zerg in the southeast, Fantasy's the Orange Terran in the north. They're playing on Moonglaive. Fantasy probably most famous for his crazy mech builds against Zerg, but it's actually his worst matchup, while Type B's best matchup is versus Terran. Anyways, at the beginning, Type B is going insane. He's going for a 12 hatch and gas, all before the spawning pool. Fantasy does a 1 barracks fast expand, but he cannot capitalize with his first Marine. Some great drone D, which you hardly ever see, I guess, unless you're getting cheesed, but he just cheesed himself, I suppose. But anyways, great drone D by Type B. Right after that, Fantasy just kind of walls himself in against the first Zerglings that are coming out from Type B, and it's all downhill for him from there. Type B just kind of contains him with the Zerglings, goes in for a little timing attack right before the Mutas. He gets a nice Mutalisk harass and expands pretty much everywhere. Gets a little secret expansion at the 9 o'clock position, gets another one later on. And after that, it's pretty much just rudimentary. Greater Spire, Guardians, Fantasy tries to counter with some Wraiths, but he just can't keep up with this economy. So Mutas and Devourers in that Wraith harass. Nice Queen and Snare for good measure, and that is good game. Type B beating Fantasy. And on to game 3, we are going to have Hogel versus Hyuk on Heartbreak Ridge. That's a lot of H's, but really? We're really going to put Haksu and Hogel in the starting lineup? Anyways, Hyuk has been among the hottest Zergs since his improbable sweep of STX in the STX Masters Cup during the summer, and he's been slowing down a little bit, but he's still been very good against Zergs this season. Hogel has lost a Fire Fist last week and lost a Savior earlier, and that's really all that we've seen of him. Hogel is going to be the red Zerg in the west, and Hyuk as the teal Zerg on the east. Once again, this is Heartbreak Bridge, and Hyuk is going for a 9 pool early. Hogel, luckily, goes for a pretty safe 12 pool, so if he can just defend against the earlier Zerglings from Hyuk, he should be in a pretty good position. Here comes the Zergling, and they barely even try, so Hogel is sitting pretty, but Hyuk's Lair and Spire will be able to get up a little bit quicker, because he hasn't expanded. Hogel, however, drops a couple of Spore Colonies to counter those Mutalisks, and he's going for a counterattack with Scourge and Lings, and he is going to take down the expansion. Bam! Sigh of relief coming from Hogel. That's one of the best player cams I've ever seen. That was awesome. Anyways, just moments later, Hyuk, in a classic Hyuk maneuver, flies his Mutalisks right into a swarm of Scourge, and pretty much that's GG. Sparky's taking out SKT1 3-0 using none of their typical starters. Well, maybe Type B, I guess, is probably taken Yarnk's place as the starting Zerg, but still, 2 winless players getting their first wins against the reigning champions. And with that game over, that is going to be the end of round 1 of the 9-10 Pro League season, and here is the standings after this match. The next round is going to be pretty much the same except for a few map alterations. Notably, I think the Neo Heartbreak Ridge will be particularly interesting with the increased mobility between the high ground areas in the north and the south. Anyway, Sparky's sitting in a rather disappointing 9th place, but let's take a look at the middle of the pack here. If we've got 6 teams right here, all either at 5-6 or 6-5. So if Sparkies can string together 2 or 3 wins early on in the next round, they could theoretically just vault over all of these teams and sit at 3rd or 4th place overall. So they're still not in dire straits. If they get on a hot streak, they could turn things around for themselves. And with that, I would like to award the Sparky's Cast MVP of round 1 to Justin. No, he will now forever be known as Crocus. But yes, Crocus, MVP of the first round. Why? He's the only undefeated player that Sparky's has fielded. He beat Piano in his first game, which is not particularly impressive, but it did lead Sparky's. It kept Sparky's alive for Lita to double dip and win the only ace match of the season against Woonjin Stars. Then, in a huge upset, took down Calm, giving Sparky's their only win against STX. So, Crocus, you are the MVP of round 1. Since Sparky's isn't doing so great, might as well give an MVP to somebody who's trying their best. Anyways, an honorable mention is going to be going to Type B. He is 4-2 now this season, and he's been beating players that he should beat. Like Goat Rush, like Great, like Sangho. He's a little bit iffy on players around his skill level, but he did just take out Fantasy, so he's definitely not dead in the water against better players. Kind of like Gogo, actually, who's 2-2 this season, but all of his opponents have been pretty good. And on to the question marks for this season, I'm talking about Lita and Yarnk. They should be getting a lot of wins. Lita, I'm talking to you here, but Lita's at 5-5, and he's really struggling against high-level Terrans, which should be his strong suit. He has been rocking Zerg pretty much, but he's also been getting owned by Protoss. Yarnk, on the other hand, he is 2-3. Only winning against Shark and Jangbi, who's also really struggling this season, so he needs to step it up a little bit. I know both of these guys have got the skills, so they need to really get hot for Sparky's to rise. As for the Protoss players, well, I'd rather not talk about it. Harangi has really disappointed this season. Who knows, maybe Haksu will step it up, but that kind of seems unlikely. In general, I'd say that Sparky should keep challenging Type B and Go-Go, keep giving them good matchups and then maybe try to find some slightly easier matches for Lita and Yarnk until they can get their feet under them, and hope their role players like Crocus and Hogel can get more upsets. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in round 2.